Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Appreciate you jumping on. We got some great stuff for you today, including more clips from those Senate hearings involving Gary Gensler yesterday. And boy, were they spicy, to say the least. But before we jump in, let's look at some pricing. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons. I certainly do appreciate it. Bitcoin sitting at 63,859. Ethereum 2,625. Solana up 4.51% at 151. And XRP inching its way up at 0.59. Great to see, even if slight moves are happening. We will take it. Let's dive into some news here. And first, we've got Mr. Mann, who states, James Wallace states that Ripple is working on stablecoins with reserves held in the central bank, one in the US, RLUSD, and the other in the UK. No name given there, but let's take a listen to this short clip by James Wallace.
Stablecoins being issued by regulated entities. So I can't give you the names yet, but there's two projects we're working on, one in the UK and one in the US, working with banks that are regulated who will be issuing stablecoins, and the reserves will likely to be held at a central bank, in a central bank account. So very different from the algorithmic stablecoin. And then now what we're seeing.
So working with banks who will be working with central banks. So more of what we've heard in the past. Little information squeaking out little by little. Next up, Bitcoin Magazine says just in, Gary Gensler says he will not commit to overturning SEC rule that prevents highly regulated financial firms from holding Bitcoin and crypto. So this again from the hearings yesterday on Capitol Hill. Let's take a listen into this clip.
I'd like to move on to SAB 121. As you know, the SEC overstepped their authority by issuing SAB 121 while also harming investors in the financial system. Chair Gensler, I have contacted your office repeatedly about SAB 121 and asked to speak with you about this. Your office has totally ignored all of our requests, so I'm very glad you are before Congress today to answer my questions. After watching majorities in both chambers of Congress, including Democrats like Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, vote to overturn SAB 121, do you have any regrets on supporting the SAB?
The Office of the Chief Accountant has been issuing staff accounting bulletins. It's 121 because it's the 121st one in 50 years. Public companies were asking questions about how to account for crypto and is it a liability? And what we found is bankruptcy after bankruptcy, and FTX and Terraform and Celsius and Voyager, bankruptcy court after bankruptcy court has said it's a liability of the company. So I think the accounting that the staff bulletin put out helped public companies understand that.
Thank you. The Government Accountability, a nonpartisan independent agency, was very clear. You lost. The SEC was wrong to skirt around Congress by issuing SAB 121. You're actually making the digital asset ecosystem less safe. Yes or no, Chair Gensler, will you commit to rescinding SAB 121 today?
No, it's good accounting bulletin that's out there. And if somebody comes in and works with the Office of the Chief Accountant in a consultative matter where it is bankruptcy remote, and a number of banks and broker dealers have done this, where if they're holding the customer funds and it truly is the customers, it's truly the remote from bankruptcy.
Reclaiming my time since
that it's not a liability.
So unfortunately, Gary's still wordsmithing throughout this hearing, and he's not going to overturn SAB 121, unfortunately. Moving on to Caitlin Long, and of course, this is also tied to things not being done the appropriate way in DC. She says, but of course, while the Fed screams about the systematic risk of digital assets, it lets a systematically important bank, in quotes, get into the business. You literally can't make this up. It's how the US system works, folks. So if you don't know, Caitlin Long created Custodia Bank. She was trying to open this bank with one-to-one backings of digital assets and do it this way. And they told her they would not give her the appropriate license, the appropriate approval to do so. But now they are giving that approval to BNY Mellon, one of the biggest custodial banks out there. It's unfortunate. Hopefully, we'll get some more clarity in the near future. Let's move on to Mr. Mann here. He says currently, out of 30,000 programmers, 1 in 3,000 know what's going on. By 2030, only 1 in 6,000 will have any idea what's going on. So this gentleman is talking about programmers and not having enough of them and how it relates to digital assets. Let's take a listen.
So I think, to me, what stacks which we don't see is the biggest change. Now, the risk I'll talk about very different context. Today, out of 8 billion population in the globally, we have only 30 million programmers. 1 out of 3,000 know what is going on. 1 out of 3,000 people know what's going on in the world. Imagine that's the single biggest risk we have. And by 2030, 1 out of 6,000 know what's going on. I think that world is a much more scarier place than we ever imagined, that we just don't know what's going on. To me, that's the single biggest risk, and that's not what a regulator can solve. I bet that. I challenge any regulator can solve that problem. The single biggest concentration risk is that people who know what's going on are progressively decreasing. And by every year, we're losing 4 million programmers. And that population is going down. And then we're telling we are bringing AI to write code, further decline of human civilization. I think, to me, that's the biggest risk.
So this gentleman states essentially we're losing way too many programmers year after year, which could lead to AI writing all the programming, which he believes is certainly a downfall for all of us. Moving on to Lori Reports here. She comments on the Ripple appeal. It says last minute appeal against Ripple by the SEC, question mark. Lori always does great stuff here. Let's give her a listen.
Tensions are running incredibly high as we are gearing up for the final deadline for the SEC to appeal Ripple. Take note of the timing of this SEC versus Ripple case and a certain time in politics. Ripple just shifted $200 million and everybody has jumped on it, semi-concluding that the reason for it is gearing up to pay the $125 million fine that was requested of them by the SEC. Everybody is wanting to know the appeal probability. Not sure why that really matters. You guys, the appeal does not matter if they do or if they don't. It is not going to take away from the ultimate value of XRP. When it is time for XRP to do its thing, nothing can stop it. In the meantime, they can put on a big show and divert everybody's attention and get everybody all crazy, but it doesn't matter. So as we await this appeal date, which we have 2 weeks to wait still, let's chill out. Let them do their thing. We've got some attorneys saying the appeal is likely. We still have Garlinghouse and Alderati telling us that they don't believe it's going to happen. It could happen at the last minute. It may not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The value of XRP cannot be stopped when it is time. And that is all anybody needs to know. So this hyper focus on this case needs to go away. Make sure you're joining me here every day for latest on Ripple.
So good feedback there, good perspective from Lori Reports. Again, she believes this is all set up and there's just a bunch of distractions going on here and there. We shall see. We shall see what happens with the appeal here coming up, which is due by, I think, October 6th or 7th. So let's move on to Smoke Dog. Smoke Dog always bringing the fire. He says here, BRICS de-dollarization roadmap to be revealed at BRICS Summit in October. coming up quickly. The main purpose of Project Enbridge is to enable countries to bypass the dollar. The full operation of Enbridge, BRICS Bridge Payment System. You can see here he highlights a couple things in this article. It says the main purpose of Enbridge is to enable its users to bypass the existing U.S.-centric financial system. Later on, he says, the article says, using Enbridge, you'd be able to swap dirhams for krona directly from a UAE bank to a bank in Iceland, assuming these banks are part of the Enbridge system. This removes the US dollar as the bridge currency, removes intermediary banks from the transfer, and removes SWIFT from the equation. The significance of this is that it facilitates international trade by removing the US dollar as the bridge currency. This also means that tens of trillions of dollars of demand coming from large Forex transfers would disappear. This means the demand for USD falls. The eventual full operation of Enbridge, and in time, the similarly conceived BRICS bridge, is awaited by a significant number of countries, including the BRICS members, as well as much of the global south. So, it's all in the works. Good stuff there by Smoke Dog as to what's happening with the new financial system. Let's move on to Cypress Demonicor here, who shares a great video. He says, boom, shared this video. The DTCC just confirmed retail has the upper hand on institutions for the first time in history. This is the most bullish video the mainstream media will never show you. Let's take a listen to this video.
So as one famous Bostonian once said, the institutions are coming, right? And we're starting to see progress where more certainty in the market is helping institutional adoption, such as the approvals of FIT21, other instruments, both ETH and Bitcoin, spot ETFs. Those have been super helpful in pushing the movement forward. It just shows you there's pinned up demand. It is pushing through. There's a couple of things that are a little bit different about this. This is the first time in our history where we've seen actually retail lead and institutional follow, but the certainty that we're getting right now from the regulatory and the legal framework is helpful and will continue. Both ETH and Bitcoin, spot ETFs, those have been super helpful in pushing the movement forward. It just shows you there's pinned up demand. It is pushing through. There's a couple of things that are a little bit different about this. This is the first time in our history where we've seen actually retail lead and institutional follow, but this.
So the first time she's seeing retail lead, and if you don't know, the depository, the DTCC is the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, a U.S.-based financial services company that provides clearing, it provides settlement, and information services for security transaction. It acts as a central clearinghouse, basically reducing risk in financial markets by guaranteeing the settlement of trades, maintaining records, facilitating the exchange of securities for cash. They handle trillions of dollars in securities transactions daily, which includes equities, bonds, derivatives, mutual funds. It has a critical role in ensuring the smooth functioning of global financial markets. So good stuff there from Cypress Demonicor. Let's move on to Ashley Prosper here. And Ashley states this failed to upload, and I've only just noticed, for those who didn't see, Average Torres dismantled Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler's very soul. Enjoy. Let's take a quick listen just at the beginning of this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gensler, suppose I were to sell you a Yankee ticket and tell you that the Yankee ticket could appreciate in value and could be resold at a profit in the secondary market. And as is the case with all sports tickets, suppose the proceeds from the sale of the Yankee ticket goes toward paying for the Yankee game. By selling you the Yankee ticket, am I entering into an investment contract with you and therefore conducting an unregistered?
I'll stop it there, but Gary Gensler got chewed up in that hearing yesterday. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe. I'll see you on the flip side.